Hi, everyone. You're listening to Cinema 5000. This is Mallory. This is my podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We're at 5,745 films, and on this episode, I'm going to talk to you about four movies that I've seen in the past week or so. And let's just get going. Let's get started with Masquerade from 1988, directed by Bob Swaim. There is no tagline for this movie. A recently orphaned heiress meets a young racing yacht captain on Long Island. He shows interest in her, and being heiress to $200 million, love may not be the reason. This stars Rob Lowe as Tim. He's the hottie dude riding the yachts, being the captain for this rich fellow who is Mr. Morrison. He's married to Brooke, who's played by Kim Cattrall. And Brooke and Tim are sleeping together on the side. Then one day, Meg Tilly, who plays Olivia, runs into town to say hi, be rich. Unfortunately, her mother has passed away. So despite her having 8 houses and loads of cash, she's not doing so great. She's just okay. But when she meets Tim, oh boy, things change. She falls for Tim immediately. Tim falls for her. But is there something else happening here for what motivations Tim may have when it comes to being with Olivia? This is a pretty trashy movie. I mean, in the best way. Yeah, there's a little bit of seduction happening here. There's a little bit of, is it for the money? Is he really in love with her? What's going on? And then on the side, we learn that Olivia's stepfather, who has now been widowed by her mother, who's played by John Glover, his name is Tony. Tony, is he trying to get some of Olivia's money too? There's all these things happening, dynamics with the cops, crime. What's the story with Long Island? Well, the Hamptons specifically. This was fun. I enjoyed this. I had a good time watching this. I think the performances are fine. Meg Tilly is playing like the most innocent, naive woman ever. Olivia is just like falling for him so quickly, and they move really fast in their relationship. And we can kind of understand that the reason why is that she just sees this guy and she's just like, I just have to go for it no matter what. And at first I really was like, girl, he's gonna do bad by you. There's no way, because he's got some motivations. And as things unravel, we start to really understand that there may be some depth to their reasonings for being together, and especially in his circumstances, that is Tim, for what life he has come to, like how he has gotten to be where he is in working with the yachts and racing and such. I had a fun time with this. Like I said, it is trashy, but some lovely scenery in the Hamptons in New York. They clearly shot it down there. There's some boat on the water stuff that happens too. You can't fake that. It's so strange watching a movie like this and think that this, maybe from 1988, but movies like made these days do not like shoot like this. They don't have these big mansions. They don't have the greenery. They don't have, natural settings so much. There's so much reliance on interiors and stage shooting, in the studio. And I feel like it's weird to feel like a movie like this is not kind of made anymore, but I've never felt it so much as like watching this, because there is just so much natural atmosphere for it, and I had a fun time. Like I said, Kim Cattrall is good. She's not in the movie enough, I will say that. You kind of wonder if there's some things that might happen in her parties of like her being this rich woman having an affair with Tim running around, and then like the stepfather. I mean, there are a lot of moving pieces, but I will say the movie does a fairly good job of keeping it on the track with all the things going on. And yeah, I enjoyed the performances. Rob Lowe is fine. Everybody's fine. It's good. John Glover, you might recognize him. He plays the what's his last name? In Gremlins 2, Mr. Clamp. Yeah, he plays Mr. Clamp. So a familiar face from the late 80s. So I enjoyed Masquerade from 1988, directed by Bob Swaim. I gave this 3 stars. One of those kind of sort of erotic thrillers, a little bit. And one thing of note, this is written by Dick Wolf. I don't know if you know who Dick Wolf is, but Mr. Law and Order, he's the guy who made this one. Another sort of trashy movie to talk to you about, it's The Role of Jenny Penn from 2024, though now just released in theaters and I think coming to Shudder in the coming weeks, directed by James Ashcroft. No tagline. Confined to a secluded rest home and trapped within his stroke-ridden body, a former judge must stop an elderly psychopath who employs a child puppet to abuse the home's residents with deadly consequences. So, Jeffrey Rush He plays a fellow who is a judge in the beginning of the film. His character, Stefan Mortensen, has unfortunately had a stroke behind the bench when he's pulling down a ruling. And there's a very intense scene at the beginning. And we can tell he's not like the best guy or anything like that. Like, he's not supposed to be someone we're really supposed to enjoy the company of as we get to learn his situation and how he moves into this elder care home. While he's in the home, he encounters Dave Creeley, who's played by John Lithgow. He's this fellow who looks a little bit off. He's not so kempt together, put together, and he has this little dolly on his hand. The dolly has no eyes. It's like a hollow head, and he calls the doll Jenny Penn. And Stefan's roommate, who's played by George Hinaire, his name is Tony. He doesn't talk a lot, and Stefan is not happy about the fact that he has a roommate. But one night, Dave Creeley comes into their room and he harasses both gentlemen in bed as they're trying to fall asleep. Stefan decides, I should take things into my own hands if the staff won't do anything about this moment, what has happened here, and our room being broken into. He talks to the staff, and the staff go, well, we think you might be having a moment where you're misunderstanding what might have happened to you in the middle of the night. Maybe this never happened. But Stefan is on the case. He is going to figure out how to make things right with Dave Creeley haunting them all and with this dolly on his hand. Not really haunting, but sort of like, interrupting people and bothering them and causing havoc and these things that are happening. And the staff just looks the other way. Now, this isn't like a natural, like, horror movie thing. It's not spooky or anything like that. And it's not like creepy, but it is a little bit disturbing, I will say, because this is not just about elderly people being treated bad. This is an elderly person treating other elderly people bad. There's a bit of a, kind of suggestions of mistreatment and abuse, and who knows what happens in this facility, not at the hands of Dave Creeley. It's not like the best place, and even though it seems all, fine and dandy, it's like, it's just not right. And the things that Dave Creeley does. Now, I will say, John Lithgow is really terrific in this. He really became this creepy guy who just goes off and, hurts people and, like, does things and, like, forces them into things that are very uncomfortable. It's not, like, how do I say it? It's not the most, I don't want to say believable. It's not like a movie that's trying to be a realistic situation. I think it's going for the thrills. It's going for a little bit of the drama and the intrigue of, what will happen here. So it's trying to be a bit ridiculous in some ways. But I will say I had a good time watching this. I see this as a movie that you would kind of watch on Shudder. I think it actually would play pretty well at home. It is a little long, I think, for what it is. Like, this could have been like 90 minutes, but 104. There was one point where I was like, is this over now? And it's going to keep going, but I wasn't really disappointed by the ending and where it went. It kind of went the places I expected it to go. It's a little bit of a chiller, so dramatic thriller, slight thrills, slight creeps, if you don't like seeing elderly folk being mistreated, I would say don't watch this movie, because unfortunately it happens. But I liked this movie. I gave The Rule of Jenny Penn from 2024, directed by James Ashcroft, 3 stars. I recommend it, but like I said, if you don't want to see a movie where elder folks are being mistreated, I would say don't watch it. It's not reinventing the wheel or anything like that, but I had a good time with it, and it was nice seeing something like this in the theater, especially since I went into this completely blind. I just know I knew it had Jeffrey Rush and John Lithgow, and I was kind of like, what's to lose? I'll just go to see this movie. But yeah, these IFC Shudder films, I've seen a couple of them like briefly be in the theaters, and then if it's not IFC, like some other smaller films. So I know these movies can be really hit or miss, and I was expecting it to be a miss, frankly, so it did surprise me that I enjoyed it pretty much all the way through. I didn't have like any major objections for why I didn't like it, but it was not like a movie setting out to be like this giant like thriller classic. It was kind of operating in its own lane, so I think I recommend it. Yeah, it's not a bad time. Something I am going to actually have some stipulations on recommending, definitely in line with the movies I'm talking about so far on this episode. We're going to talk about Mother's Boys from 1993, directed by Yves Simoneau. The tagline is, "This divorce is going to be a nightmare." A sexy but unstable wife and mother Jude walked out on her family 3 years ago. Now, just as suddenly, she is back, but her husband Robert has fallen in love with Callie, an assistant principal at his son's school. He asks Jude for a divorce. She responds by trying to turn her 3 boys against Callie, then by slashing herself and blaming her rival, and finally by drawing her 12-year-old Kes into a murderous plot. Oh boy. Okay, so Jamie Lee Curtis plays Jude. She is this woman who has come back after 3 years to her family, asking for her family back, saying, I want to be a family again. I want you to be my husband, Robert. I want everything to be normal. But Callie is here. Why is Callie here? Callie is the problem. Callie is played by Joanne Whaley. She is in love with Robert, who's played by Peter Gallagher, but Jamie Lee Curtis's Jude, or Judith, she goes by Jude, is just not okay with things. Along the way, we do meet Jude's mother, Lydia, played by Vanessa Redgrave. And there's some discussion here and there about Jude's problems. And it wasn't just that, 3 years ago when she left, the youngest son, maybe she had some postpartum depression. There's also some family trauma that may have led to Jude's behavior that Lydia is suggesting, oh my gosh, these things that happened to Jude, or maybe the way she behaves. And this isn't a movie that's really seeking for her redemption. It should be obvious this is a 90s trashy kind of erotic thriller almost. But Jamie Lee Curtis is chewing the scenery. She's having a great time being this very, very nasty character and all the antics she gets up to. She's obviously pretty damaged, but she is just trying to own every moment. She wants to be this hot, sexy woman. She wants to seduce her, husband who does not want her anymore. And she has a very ridiculous apartment that I really loved. It was clearly not a real apartment. It was something that was shot in a studio, but the design of it and the look of it was very 90s. And she has this ginormous bathroom that is so huge. I found a lot to like about this movie, even though it was not clearly a good movie. There were things about it that I just found very ridiculous, but also things I found very campy and enjoyable, when they were happening. Jamie Lee Curtis's performance especially. Some moments of the film, she looks like she is kind of dressed up to be like her mother, Janet Leigh, who played Marion Crane in Psycho. Things that give me shades of that. Sort of her passing the torch of being the Scream Queen, from her mother down to her. She did the Halloween movies and Prom Night, but I see this more as her turning the switch of I can be the bad girl too. Some good work by her. Though I will say this movie does have a scene with her son, Kes, that is very icky, and it's icky in the way that you understand that Jude is a person who lacks a little bit of tact. The conversation she has with her son, Kes, yeah, she kind of goes too far, and he's very uncomfortable as a child. And the way it's filmed, you get the impression the studio or whoever was making this movie were just yeah, we need to film this a certain way to make the audience feel very gross as voyeurs and have the son be uncomfortable. But her as a person, she's clearly this is how I work. This is how things are, and this is how I feel. And she just doesn't really see that what she's doing here in this moment is really inappropriate. So yeah, Oedipal, Oedipus Rex kind of thing. If you know, you know. It is kind of icky. It's not graphic or anything like that, but the suggestion of things is whoa, lady, you are going too far. So that's my slight warning on this one. It's not really a trigger warning, but it's just a moment that I think could have been played way worse. I think it works just fine. But this is a movie that is not just portraying her as a woman who is a bit unstable, but she just doesn't kind of, she doesn't kind of get that her behavior is really inappropriate in a lot of ways. So how do I feel about this? I am of two minds. Number one, this is such a trashy, delightful movie because Jamie Lee Curtis is ridiculous. This movie has a lot of moments that are very good when they're done, but when you think about it, it's just not very, tight. It's not great filmmaking. But if I took away some of the things I really enjoyed about this, I don't think the average person would like this movie at all. They think it was garbage. They think Jamie Lee Curtis was over the top. So, it's kind of a hit or miss thing. I'm going to give this 2 stars because back in my mind, I'm thinking, this is not a well-made movie. It is not. I do think Jamie Lee Curtis is great in this, but I can't quite recommend it. I would recommend it if you were someone who was well, I want to watch Mommy Dearest, and then I want to follow that up with something crazy, or maybe I like erotic thrillers, that kind of audience. Yeah, it's not a great one, like I said, but I kind of, sort of, but don't really recommend Mother's Boys from 1993, directed by Yves Simoneau. I gave it 2 stars, as I said. I found this on Tubi. This is your quintessential Tubi movie. I do love Tubi. I am just such a fan of how I find these movies like this, and even when it's not good, I still have a good time. Though Devil in the Flesh was not good at all. That was a 1 star for me all the way. But yeah, Mother's Boys, like a forgotten trash classic, I guess you could say. Yeah. Okay, so our last film we're going to discuss is Black Bag from 2025, directed by Steven Soderbergh. It takes a spy to hunt a spy. When his beloved wife is suspected of betraying the nation, an intelligence agent faces the ultimate test: loyalty to his marriage or his country. Michael Fassbender plays George Woodhouse, and George is married to Catherine St. John. They are a very picture-perfect couple on the surface. They are slick and sexy people who dress well. Oh, they have a nice flat. Holy crap, what a beautiful house, like dream house. Years and years ago, my sister went to college in England, and one time I went to visit her. She was the babysitter for this one family in England, and their house reminded me so much of this place that George and Catherine live, like to a T. Kitchen was a little bit bigger in the movie, of course, but yeah, just the structure of it and how the like living spaces were set, just like amazing, beautiful, classic kind of like London, like luxury. Yeah, those people were loaded that my sister babysat for. But yeah, so George and Catherine, well, things come to light to George's attention that may involve his wife Catherine, since they are both working in intelligence and spies. Is she up to no good? What is going on? This is like Soderbergh doing a dialed down version of like James Bond, with a little bit of like, you know, the Mr. and Mrs. Smith thing, but just the association of two people being married. I mean, I hated that movie ages ago, and I haven't seen the TV show, but I think it's an interesting film. It's a lot about relationships and the dynamics between people in the workplace too. In the beginning of the film, we meet George and Catherine through what is essentially a dinner party that they're hosting, and we learn like little things here and there about the both of them, and then through their colleagues and their relationships, like how people communicate within this movie about their relationships and the things they tell or don't tell. And I think this is a good film, but I will say, once it started to unfold, it became very typical Soderbergh for me. The way he goes about his movies with the editing and the camera work, and he's all hands on for that. Like, he is very much I mean, the auteur theory thing is a thing that I feel like has come, you know, under a lot of scrutiny over the years, because film is so collaborative as it is. And I do think Soderbergh is like one of the last true auteurs, because he's just such a control freak in a good way. His movies feel like his movies, and this was kind of like exactly what I expected to be as it rolled along. But I do think Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett are pretty good, as are Naomi Harris and Regé-Jean Page, Marissa Abela and Pierce Brosnan, Tom Burke, the main cast in this film. Pierce Brosnan is not in this much, but he still has a good side part. Tom Burke, really good. You might remember him as Praetorian Jack from Furiosa. And then he was in The Souvenir as the terrible drug addict boyfriend. But he's great. Like, I've liked Tom Burke in everything I've seen him in. Oh, he plays Orson Welles in Mank. Yes. So I'm a little bit of a fan of Tom Burke. I would like to see him in more films, and him even working with Soderbergh again would be great. Regé-Jean Page, like, good performance in this. Marissa Abela, she plays Amy Winehouse in the Back to Black movie. I never saw that, but I was like, I know this girl from somewhere. She sounds so familiar, and it's from those trailers for that movie. And yeah, Naomi Harris, I mean, she's in Bond movies, so great for her to get like another pseudo kind of Bondish spy thing job here. I really like her in everything she's been in. So it's stylish, it's a little sexy, there's a little bit of relationship drama happening in this, and you know, George is on the case for what's happening here with the bad doings. I don't want to spoil this, so that's all I'm going to say. But I gave this 3 stars. It was about what I expected it to be from Soderbergh, and I really liked the trailer. I just kind of wish, my only gripe, I found the trailer to be really like intense and like fun. And Soderbergh kind of dials it back a little bit, the way that he makes his movies. Like, this feels like his other movies, and I wish he did a little bit more action. Like, he could, but he didn't. Though what this is fine anyway. So yeah, it is what it is. It is a Soderbergh film through and through. And that is the episode. That's about all I have to say about these 4 films. The next episode, we should be talking about Mickey 17, which I'm actually going to be seeing tomorrow. I have some rentals I got from the library, and I didn't leave myself enough time to watch all of them. So we'll see what I watch from that stack of movies that I got, some Blu-rays and a DVD, yeah. And I have more James Bond movies that I'll be talking to you about soon. I did recently watch Goldfinger, but I had seen it before, so it did not make this episode, unfortunately. That'll be in the rewatch recap, which comes out the first week in April. And then for other things coming to the theater, I don't even know what my Regal is getting this week, other than there's like a couple movies coming out that I just don't have an interest in seeing. I don't know. I usually go to the movies every weekend. Maybe I'll go, maybe I don't know. At the very least, we've got Mickey 17, maybe another Bond film, and something else coming for the next episode. But yeah, I'm Mallory. Thank you so much for listening. Send an email if you want to cinema5kpod@gmail.com. The website is cinema5000.com. I'm also updating the blog on there with YouTube versions of these podcast episodes. So in case you're a YouTuber, you can subscribe to the channel Cinema 5000 and Cinema 5000 on Bluesky too. That's where I'm going to be providing like little updates here as things go. And I have some thoughts of maybe doing a Patreon, but it would be like a low-cost Patreon, because I know I'm not going to do like merch and things like that, or any kind of like extra episodes like I know like a lot of people do. But I was thinking of doing something a little different on there. We'll see. That's like a pie in the sky kind of thing. Like, who knows if I ever do it like in the next year or so. But yeah, thank you so much for listening again. I'll talk to you soon about what movies I see in the future. Okay, bye.